Hey, everybody. Welcome to the On Purpose Entrepreneur Show. And I am Ann DeSimine. I'm pleased to announce and introduce to you Sherita Sparrow, the author of Boss Artist, Self-Made, Self-Paid. Build a lucrative business around your creativity, live a fulfilling life, and follow your passion. I love that. Self-made, self-paid. So a little bit about Sherita before we get started. Sherita is a world-class therapeutic art practitioner, an art master, speaker, and now author who has been sharing her gift of art since 2003. She shares strategies and techniques to empower and help healthcare professionals gain confidence in art so that they can holistically transform lives of the elderly and those with special needs. Through her recently released book, Boss Artist, she inspires other creatives to use their artistic gift to enrich lives and build a career that adds to their higher purpose. And that's what this show is all about, right? Living on purpose. And you're doing that, Sherita. So welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to be with you.
Yes, glad to have you here. So I've known Sherita for quite a long time, and actually she was the one who really got me to offer the Just Do It Right Now program, because I developed the program for somebody else who never went through it. And when Sherita said she was ready to write her book, I said, well, just so happens I have a program that will show you how to write a book in just 20 minutes a day. And that's how it started. So I have Sherita to thank for really, being the second person to request it, but the first really serious person to request it, to really get it going. So going back to that time, Sherita, what was it that made you feel that now is the time to write your book?
It just seemed like everything was happening just at the right time. I had been thinking about writing a book for some time, and when I had a chance to talk with you and you were sharing this idea of creating a book program, I was like, this is something I really would be interested in. So I'm a person that loves to just go with the flow and go with wherever my heart leads me, and my heart was leading me to writing a book. I felt like I had a message I wanted to share, and I really wanted to get it out there, and I knew being a part of your book program would really help me get there.
So let's talk about your message, because you do something that's a little bit different than most artists. And when you think about, there's that cliche about the starving artist, which talk about mindset, right? That is a certain mindset. But you really found your passion with your art, because I know your story. I know you had this idea of being a magazine designer, and that didn't work out. And, I have this picture of you walking down this hallway with the light shining, walking down the hallway to these elderly patients, and you were just about ready to change their world, right?
Yes. That was a day that absolutely changed my life too. So not only was I about to change the lives of the elderly, but just realizing that I could use my art in a totally different way that I had been taught how to use it. It just really took a totally different career path. And I'm so thankful that I went in that direction. Because of that, I've been able to do so many different things with my art. And I just find it to be a true blessing, following my purpose and my passion.
That was the impetus to writing your book, to really inspire others to see this other avenue of, not having to be a starving artist, and to really use their gifts to help others.
Yes, that is so true. I feel that as artists, we're always given the idea of the starving artist stigma, that there's no way you can make money off of your art. And I find that to be so untrue, especially now. Art is everywhere. Everywhere we go, we are falling into art. We see it on billboards, on our clothing, the mugs that we pick up. Everything is inspired by art. And actually, it's projected by 2020 that art jobs are going to expand. They're going to grow. So there is that whole thing of the starving artist stigma. I find it to no longer really be true. So this whole thing of what I've been doing, using art holistically and therapeutically with the elderly community, it has really expanded me in so many different directions. And it really did start with just following my heart and following my purpose in life. And this book, Boss Artist, is what I really try to help you understand that it's okay to jump out there. Sometimes it could be a little scary, but just go and follow your passion and it will lead you directly to your purpose in life.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So I just want to bring this up too. You actually have a certification program.
Yes, I do.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So because I was following my purpose, providing sessions at nursing facilities, I developed a special technique of doing art with them that really, resulted in a lot of breakthroughs with clients. And I worked with clients who had a lot of different capabilities, whether they had Alzheimer's or dementia or Parkinson's, memory impairment, hearing or vision loss. So I was able to develop a special formula. And from that, a lot of the healthcare professionals were really interested in learning how I was able to get these breakthroughs with the clients. So from that, I developed the Art Transformers certification course. And this course basically teaches you how to use art holistically with the elderly and with individuals with special needs. And you can also expand it to working with, teens or working with children. So it shows you step by step on how to use your art in a more holistic way, in a way that you're able to give back to the community, but also fulfill your heart as well too.
Having a book is a great way to create an online program, right? You never want to give away the farm or whatever that saying is, right? So
right.
How much, because your book is essentially inspirational to let artists see that there is another outlet to using their art to make a living. So how much of the certification program did you incorporate into the book? Or was that something totally separate?
It's a little bit part of the book, but not completely a part of the book. You can learn a lot about it towards the end, because I really wanted to focus on sharing with you the everyday life of an entrepreneur as a creative. One of the other things that was so important for me of sharing in this book is how to market yourself and how to navigate the art industry as an artist and as a creative individual, because, I had gone to school for over 6 years. I had got like 2 art degrees and studied art for so many years. And in that process, I realized that we never were taught how to market ourselves. We were never taught how to network. And we were especially never taught how to price our artwork as well too. So in this book, I give you strategies, I give you tips, I give you practical methods that you can implement immediately into your life. I even had people who are not really, or who feel they're not really creative. I feel everyone's creative, but I've had some people feel like, I'm not really creative, but I would love to read your book. And after reading my book, they're like, wow, this book has so many great tips and techniques that I'm going to be reading this a couple times, because there's a lot of things I can apply to my everyday life. So I'm so happy I was able to offer information that can be useful for anybody. So even if you feel like you're not an artist, this book definitely has information for you too as well. And then also towards the end of the book, I do share more about the Art Transformers Practitioner Certification course, where I show you step by step on how this certification can really help you and position you in the art world. So this book kind of shares a little bit of both.
Yeah, and you did a great job. And because when you write a book, you want to have a call to action at the end, because readers, of course, will want more of you. They'll want to know how to take the next step. And I think that this is an opportunity that not many, I don't want to say not many, but some authors don't really, they kind of miss the boat on. that. And it's like in business, if you have a program, you always want, your clients to take the next step with you. So you should have something else available. And it's the same way with a book. And you did a really, really great job at the end of your book, offering so much additional material. You have your manifesto in there. You have a couple, and as an artist, I wouldn't expect anything less of you, but you have a couple graphics in there to go download some free gifts. And then you do outline your certification program. So a book is a marketing tool.
Yes, it is. It is. And I've been able to use it as a marketing tool as well, too. The other thing I use my book is when I go out on speaking gigs. So I can use this book. I can share tips and techniques from the book. I recently did a speaking gig in October, the top of October, October 4th. And I talked all about self-care. But also in the process of self-care, there were pieces from my book that went perfect with the presentation. So I was able to talk about my book, take a little snippet from the book, but also share the possibility of being able to purchase the book for more tips and techniques on that as well too. So it really did get a lot of intrigue, and it was a perfect way to segue and transition and share what my book is really about.
So let's go back and talk a little bit about what the writing process was for you, because what I see and the question I get is how to get started. And, what do I write about? Of course, you knew what you wanted to write about, but getting started can always be a little bit daunting, but then you actually have to, once you start, keep it up.
Yeah.
And you really put a lot into your book. So just tell the audience a little bit about what that felt like to you to go through that process. How did you overcome writer's block at times when you got stuck?
The first thing I like to say is that it definitely is helpful and very useful to be a part of a book program. And the reason why I say that is because you have others that are on the same journey as you writing a book as well. And then you have a coach that's there to support you in that process, so that if you do find yourself in writer's block, you can lean on them a little bit and they can kind of be there to encourage you and to help you push through that process. Because really it is just like a mental thing where you're like, I don't know what else to say. But sometimes you just need to just sit back and relax, maybe take a break from it, and then get back to it. But it's always great to be a part of a group program that's going to help you do that. When I first started writing the book, of course, it was scary. I was like, I want to write this book, but I'm just really not sure, if it's going to sound right, if anyone's ever going to want to read it. Those are things that were running through my mind at the time. And to really get me started, what I did was I just started recording myself. I just started, I pressed the record button and I just started talking. And I just started talking about what I wanted to share about art and how you can use art in a way to make money from it. And as I was recording myself, then I went back to it and I listened to recording and I typed it out. Once I was able to type it out, then I could look at it, read it, retweak it a little bit, and then I was able to start my flow a little bit better. So sometimes recording yourself and talking it out can be a lot better, because if you're just looking at a blank page, after a while you're like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what I should type first. So sometimes just talking it out can help you. And that's what really got me through the process. And it's all about taking chunks, like little chunks. Don't try to do it all at once. Take your time with it and be consistent. That's one thing for sure. And the one thing I would say is give yourself a deadline. If you don't have a deadline, it's going to take you forever to get your book done. And I had a deadline. I needed to have my book done. I said for myself, I need to have my book done by March the 25th of the following year. And I needed that because that was the birthday of my grandmother. And my grandmother is someone who played a huge role in my life. And she's an inspiration for what I do every day. So I wanted to be able to have it done by March 25th so I could launch my book in celebration of her. So that also kept me moving and kept me inspired to get my book done.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it does help to have a deadline, that's for sure, because, a book is something that if you don't have that deadline, you can just drag it out,
Yeah.
drag it out. And the other thing I want to mention, because, you said something that made me think about this, but we're our own worst critic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that causes us to second guess ourselves. I mean, I see it in, the authors I work with, and I say, don't second guess yourself. Like, this is your purpose. You have a purpose. You're here to put this message out into the world. Whatever you're writing, you are meant to be writing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as your editor, I'm going to tell you if it doesn't make sense, or if it doesn't fit, things like that.
Right.
But, once you get into that flow and you feel that just gives you the confidence to keep going. I mean, I saw
Mm-hmm.
it in every one of you. So you did a really, really fabulous job. But you, Sherita, you were the one who, you mentioned chunks. A lot of authors will start at chapter 1 and just flow
Mm-hmm.
through, but I think you started at chapter 1, but then you skipped over to chapter 8 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess talk a little bit about that. Is that like just what this, you were led to do that day, to write about something that, should come later on, or what was that process like
Yeah.
for you?
That was a good point. I did jump around a little bit, and it wasn't really intentional, but I had to go with whatever I was feeling um, most passionate about at that time. So things were just flowing in a certain area, and I was like, okay, well, this is this chapter right here, so let me just start focusing on this chapter. And I had to go with that rather than trying to force myself to write chapter 3 when I knew I really wasn't ready to talk about chapter 3 yet.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to really go with wherever you feel most confident at and talk about that first, and then come back, because whatever you're talking about might inspire you or add more information that you could share in your other chapters that you may have skipped. So I found that helpful for me. I think when you force things, that's when things don't turn out right. So I didn't want to force it and try to make a chapter that really was not a good chapter to have, and that'd be like a waste of time. So I went with wherever I felt like, oh, I need to work on chapter 5 right now, and I just jumped and worked on chapter 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you really let
Mm-hmm.
your intuition lead you as far as your writing
Yes.
went.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So let's talk about this. When you actually finished your book and you uploaded it to Amazon, and again, you have a beautiful paperback, right? Not just
Yes.
not just the digital version, which was the original intention, but everybody went with the paperback, which was fabulous. So when you got that first copy, how did that make you feel?
Oh my goodness. It was so exciting. I felt like I had accomplished something that had been on my list of things to do. You know how we always have these lists of things we want to accomplish in life. And this was definitely one of the things I wanted to accomplish. And it felt so good to feel like I got this done and I have something that I am creating a mark. I feel like I'm leaving a mark. I'm creating a mark in this world with my message in this book. And so when I received it, it felt good to like pick it up and hold it. And it felt good to like, flip through the pages. It was just so exciting. And it's different when you're typing your book up, on your computer versus when you have it in your hand and you're actually reading the words on the pages. It gives you a totally different experience. And sometimes your words have even more of a deeper meaning just by reading it from the pages versus just, the manuscript online or on your page that you're typing.
Yeah, and I think with anything like especially a big project like this, you get so close to it that
Mm-hmm.
you don't really appreciate like the brilliance that you are expressing at that moment.
Yeah.
But then when you remove yourself from it and go back, it's like, oh, I wrote this. I really know my
Yeah.
stuff. This is really good, right?
Well, I think I didn't even really get to that point just yet of like, wow, I really did something awesome and I really know my stuff just yet. I think I got it when people were reading it and they were coming back to me and they were like, oh, this was really good and I love this chapter. I love that you talked about this. This was very helpful for me. And that's when I was like, wow, like, I've had someone that said, I'm going to pick this book up and read this a couple of times because you give so much great information and here that can apply to my everyday life. And so when I was hearing stuff like that, that really made me feel good. And I felt like, wow, I really did do something that could really help somebody. And that was my main purpose for this book, is really to offer information that would help others along the way, in any way that I could. So whether you were creative or not, I just wanted to get a message out there and hope that someone were able to, resonate with it.
Yeah, very inspirational. So is there a Boss Artist 2 on the way anytime soon?
You know what? There may be a Boss Artist too. I've had some inquiries about it, and people are like, okay, what is your next book? What are you going to title it? What are you going to talk about? So there may absolutely be a Boss Artist too. So be sure to look out for that.
Okay, exciting. And just to touch on this, I know when you once you did publish your book, you did some book signings and things like that. So just talk a little bit about how you promoted your book, because you did not do a bestseller campaign, but you got your book out there. So tell the audience a little bit about what you did to promote your book.
Yeah. So first, what I did was I launched it first on social media, and I launched it right on time for March 25th, which was like so important for me. And I've also did a 3-part training series. It was a Facebook Live, and each day I talked about a portion of the book. So it was a certain portion from each chapter or certain chapters in the book that were key pieces. And it was a 3-part training series. You could jump on. I also had like action steps for you to do. So it was very interactive, and it was very well received. So I had a lot of fun with that. So that was like my very first launch. And then I did an in-person book signing at a cafe, which was really nice. It was a nice cafe. Everyone had a chance to come there and be there. I did my book signing a little differently. Like I didn't read directly from the book, but again, I took little nuggets from it and I share content about it. And then of course, because I'm an artist, we did something artistic and creative and we designed a few art pieces and everything. So it was a lot of fun. From that, I immediately got booked for a speaking gig in 2020, next year. So I'm excited about that. It's a women's empowerment conference. And they were like, wow, we love what you were talking about today at the book signing. And we have a conference that's coming up next year, and we would love for you to be one of our speakers there. So I got booked just from, my book signing. So that was exciting.
Yeah, and that's a good point you make, because I always say your book is your calling card. It opens up so many doors, and people look at it as a lot of people. Of course, yes, you want to be a bestseller, right? You want to sell those copies, but there are so many other streams of income and opportunities that come along just because of the fact that you have this book published and out there.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. And I was surprised. I was like, wow, like, yes, that was pretty easy.
Yes. Well, you are an authority right now. So not that you weren't before, but
yeah, it does. It gives you a different level of presence, and it really does add to your professional portfolio. So a book is really good to have, and it's another way of leaving a legacy. And that was one of my main goals.
Yeah. Well, Sherita, thank you so much. You've offered so much today. And I always love, listening to your story and what you have to say and your journey. So where can our audience learn more about you and buy your book? Your book's available on Amazon, but I believe it's available elsewhere too, right?
Yeah, so you can definitely purchase my book, Boss Artist, Self-Made, Self-Paid, on Amazon. And you can also go to www.bossartistbook.com. It'll give you more information about the book. You can purchase it there as well. And then also, if you want to learn more about my Art Transform Lives certification program and discovering how you can use art holistically with others, you can always go to arttransformlives.com and you'll find out more information about that as well too.
Okay, so that's arttransformslives.com.
Yes.
And bossartistbook.com, where we can purchase directly from you. And I think you have some perks that go along with that too.
I sure do.
Yes, you do. As an artist, you would, right?
Yes.
Okay, Sherita, thank you again for being here. It's always a pleasure. And I wish you the best with your book. And I will be looking for that second title, Boss Artist 2, or whatever. Okay, everyone. That's a wrap. So if you want to find out more about me, Ann DeSimine, go to alignbelievecreate.com. You can find out more about my Just Do It Right Now program, or and just send me an email, give me a call, and I'd love to support you in, writing your book too, because it really is a journey, but it is a journey that pays for itself over and over and over again. So, and Sherita is proof of that. Just, one example of that. Okay. All right then. So until next time, keep staying on purpose. Bye for now.